Welcome back, everyone. And this is Talk the Talk, because if you can walk the walk, we will definitely talk the talk. And I am your host, Charles Gregory, here with my co-host, the beautiful...
Hey, y'all, it's Touch in the house.
That's right. Now, we talk the talk, right? But we have a gentleman with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for who definitely can talk the talk. So, Madam Touch, introduce your guest.
Well, we got Moses, the comedian here.
Yes.
The comic. I'm sorry, Moses, the comic.
Thank you.
Correction.
Thank you.
Yes.
Get it right.
And, he's really well known in Philly and all over the world. He's been doing a lot of touring and really getting himself out there in the streets.
Absolutely.
So, Moses, man.
Thank you for that beautiful lie. I'm known absolutely nowhere outside of this studio closet. And I'd like to commend Mr. Gregory on his, was that your production voice that you put on in the intro? Hello, welcome to, he doesn't talk like that, ladies and germs. But I am here. I'm sitting here with Madam Touch. She touched me, so she lived up to her name. You touched me,
I did.
And I was very aroused. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I didn't touch him there, y'all. I didn't touch him
Not
there.
yet. That's after the show.
It's not going to happen.
Another story. She's lying.
So,
we're here.
look, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into comedy?
To comedy. Well, I'm the baby of 6 children.
Yes.
Wow.
So that in itself is that's a sitcom.
That's fun, yeah.
That's a sitcom right there. And we're all Muslim. So that's like a double negative, if you will. And no, but my father, my family is very, very, we're characters. We're all characters. And my dad, I knew I was going to be a comedian. True story. My dad, when I was a kid, he took me to the Please Touch Museum. And ironically, he beat my ass for touching stuff. And I said, Dad, the sign says please touch. They're begging you to touch. And he told me that they meant that as a metaphor, to touch with my mind and not with my hands. So I ran home that day, and after calling Big Brothers, Big Sisters to get a mentor, I decided to dedicate my life to making people laugh.
To making people laugh.
Yes. So here I am. I've been doing comedy for about 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
What was your first gig?
Oh man! Well, at the Laugh House, I got my start at the world famous Laugh House.
All right.
Has to plug them.
Philly in the
Laugh
building,
House, Philly
South
in the building,
Street,
South
yeah.
Street. Everybody, the greats came through there.
Kevin Hart.
Kev and them.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out to Kev, Ray, all the greats from Philly. I went down there. They had something called Funny Money.
Okay.
It was Funny Money Wednesdays, where if you were funny.
Hold up, is your money
around.
funny?
My money was funny, actually. My money was, I made $60 that night.
Wow.
More than any of the other comedians that was on. But what happened is, I got there and they weren't going to let me perform because I was late and I had about 10 people with me. But my oldest brother, shout out to my oldest brother. He has a group called Kindred to Family, so no one's heard of them.
Shout out to Kendrick.
They went double, I think, aluminum on their last album, if that's such a number.
Cut it out.
I love him dearly. No, but he showed up and he used what we like to call the K card. They turned me away at the door, and then he showed up, and it was like, oh, you Patine's little brother.
Oh.
So that got me on, and I did 5 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes of comedy, and it's on YouTube, and it was great. What was interesting is because I was expecting from watching a lot of the documentaries of other comedians that you bomb your first time on stage, and so then you just go up from there, but the exact opposite happened. People were laughing.
People were laughing
Yeah,
in your
and the
head
people,
or
right.
in real life?
No, real life. It was real. A little in my head, but it was real life. And it was $60 in the bucket
That's
when it was all done. And it was mostly quarters. But apparently somebody was doing laundry, and it was a whole crazy thing.
I got a quick question for you. So it's a lot of talk with different comedians, when they say certain comedians are quote unquote clean. Some comedians
meaning they don't bathe, or
meaning that they don't use certain profanity and
Filth,
certain terms and things of that nature. So what's your take on that? I mean, do you think that using profane language, right, makes you less or more of a comedian, or do you think it's just somebody's style?
I think it's a personal preference.
Right.
When I started, I was really trying to find my way on stage. So I was dropping the B's and the H's and the D's and the F's, and the not the alphabet. I mean the filth. But you know what it is? I think that I watched a documentary with Chris Rock,
right,
and he talked about, they asked him what would be his advice to new comedians. and he said, get a clean routine. You know, that was the first thing he said. He said, because, you know, a clean routine is what separates somebody like him from a Seinfeld, which is the difference of millions of dollars, obviously. And if you ever really want to go mainstream or universal, I think that you got to be able to make people laugh, you know, without being vulgar. And I think a lot of times comedians get into this mode where they use profanity as a clutch because it's funny. You know, cursing is funny. You drop a well-timed F-bomb, and it's like standing ovation, if you will. So, you know, but more recently I've gotten out of, once I became more comfortable on stage and really started to hone the material, I've stopped cursing. You know, I don't really do that anymore.
That's an excellent transition because you mentioned that you're Muslim, right? And you know how the Islamic community is, especially in Philadelphia. We're dynamic with the Islamic community. So the question I have for you is how, in terms of being controversial, do you find yourself battling that edginess of being comedian as opposed to kind of keeping it clean and just walking that fine line?
It's very difficult. I was told early on, Muslim comedian is an oxymoron, you know, to be funny and be, you know, quote unquote religious. And growing up in a real religious home, obviously my dad was, you know, hardcore Muslim, as y'all know, like bean pie. You know, we did, and that's one of the misconceptions. Is like we don't all wear bow ties and eat bean pies. Okay, we do all sell them. So after the interview, out front, I'll have a table with those set up.
I love bean pies.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, you know, eating one, you automatically become Muslim, right? They didn't come with your instructions. No, but being Muslim, I've run into that a lot because finding that line between, I get booked for like faith-based shows, but a lot of the stuff that I have online is vulgar. You know, a lot of the clips and things that I have online. So a lot of times that has hindered me from getting certain gigs that, you know, my fellow brethren would probably book me for. But I think what's interesting about that is that behind closed doors, you know, no matter what faith and religion you are, we all go back and you're watching Richard Pryor and Martin Lawrence and your favorite episodes of, you know, Red Fox or what have you.
Fox,
So I think that it's a little bit taboo, you know, what I was doing. But, I had the blessing of my mother, and my real name is Musa, which is Arabic, and the English version is Moses. So it was interesting when I told my mother I was going to do comedy. She said, she was very distraught. She said, you know, I'm very upset, you know, because you're calling yourself Moses the comic. And I said, well, you know, Mom, you know, my name is Musa. You know, it means English. She said, you know, well, she said, Moses is a prophet. You know, that's the name of a prophet, and it's really blasphemous. And I said, well, my name is Musa. The English version is Moses, so has my whole life been one big blasphemy? And she said, yes. So,
there you go.
There you go.
Mom's funny.
Mom's funny.
Umi's
She came
funny.
full circle. Yeah, she, you know.
So you get booked for faith-based shows. So you go in and you have clean Muslim comedy.
Yes, religious.
So what's the difference between a Christian comic and a Muslim comic?
Well, I'm not a Muslim comic. Let's throw that out.
All right.
I have a Muslim set that I can do at Muslim shows.
Okay.
I think the difference, and there are religious comedians that do just circuit, you know, churches and organizations, MSAs and different what have you. But I think the difference for me is just tailoring the material. You know, my comfortability is in what I know, which is being Muslim my whole life. So, and there's a lot of nuances in my religion that are funny. You know, obviously the polygamy, you know, having more than one wife that I don't condone, because I only have one for now. And Madam Touch, whenever you're ready. But it's a lot of little funny things I think in my religion. So it's just about tailoring it for when I'm, you know, with a Muslim audience and things that they're going to relate to that maybe a Christian audience wouldn't. And I would, you know, and I've done churches and church events. So I don't think I think I have range.
Yeah. I think you do too. And I think when you speak about range, I think that you're reaching a lot of people. And I have to tell this story, right? Because he won't tell it.
Okay.
Now, my clients, Kendra the Family Soul, always make them look good. I always make them look good, right? So we're all the way in New Orleans. All right, Kevin Hart has a show there. Kendrick the Family Soul, he had a problem at the door. Guess who got him in?
I mean, I don't
Can you
want to
believe it? Moses
but,
the comic. So look, so just
that was a major milestone moment for me.
I know,
Baby
bro.
bro.
I know it was because
all my
baby bro,
life, you know, being like your Fateen's little brother and Kendrick's little brother. Kevin Hart had an after. It was his birthday weekend, and Kevin Hart's a great, you know, friend of mine, and you know, he's always shown me a lot of love. He had a party for his birthday, and it was a who's who in there. I'm talking about Lisa Ray,
big,
you know, all the
people,
cast to think like a man. Denzel
It was the Essence.
came
It
in
was
there.
the Essence Festival.
It was the Essence Music
I see.
Festival.
So everyone
Everybody
in there,
and mama
everybody.
was
So
there.
I mean, I'm talking about Denzel came in that joint, shut it down.
Yeah.
Brim kept everything. It's like everybody turned into a group of just, you know, the whole 9 yards. And he called me. He said, you know, where you at? I told him where I was at, my brother. And he said he was gonna come over. And a little while later, and I'm talking about line is around the corner.
Yes, it was.
And he called me and said they won't let me in at the front door. And, you know, being a boss that I am, or that I try to be, really it was the timing was impeccable because there was a lot of cops and stuff at the front door and they was checking everybody off the list. But it was the way it happened. Like the double doors opened up and I came out. And I like to think it was an angelic cue. Thank you. And I opened up and then I said to the guy, they thought I must have been a part of, you know, who I was. And I said, you know, he's good. And they, you know, they parted the red tape or the Red Sea.
Okay.
Moses the comic. See how I did that? Little jokey joke. And they let him in, man. And what sealed it to me was, you know, once he got in there and I took him over to introduce him to Kevin, he actually told him, you know, my little brother had to get me into the party.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
So, you know.
That's fantastic.
Nice. That is definitely bragging right.
Absolutely.
Definitely bragging right. All right. So if I want to see more of your act, where can I find it?
At most of the local Burger Kings, McDonald's parking lot. You can go to mosesthecomic.com. My website is up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything's Moses the Comic, not D.A. Duh.
Okay.
The CCP version. So mosesthecomic.com. Everything is under that. So you can find me on there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter me. And I tweet back. I tweet and respond back. So please, are you going to follow me?
I'm definitely going to follow you. So make sure you follow
I don't know
back.
where I'm going. So we both going to be lost. But figure it out together.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Moses. We really appreciate what you're doing in the city for the people and really just starting a whole new generation of black comics. So
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, y'all. It's Madam Touch. We got Charles over here. We're checking out. Let's talk the talk. We'll be right back.
Talk the talk, y'all. Don't go anywhere.
This your boy Moses the Comic hanging out in the studio/broom closet, and you're watching Talk the Talk with my guy Charles Gregory and my soon-to-be wife, Madam Touch. Come touch me, baby. Touch me, baby, like you never did before. Touch me, baby. We talking talk in the closet. Moses the Comic.